What's up, guys? This is the Dirt Bike Channel podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Brotherson, and pretty excited for today. I say that on every podcast. I always say, I'm super excited for today. I know I say that every time, but this time I am really, really excited because I have two special guests on the podcast today, and we're going to be talking about oil. This is something that is super, super cool. I can't remember, it was a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, got an email from a gentleman, and he's like, hey, I don't know if you've heard of us. We're called Reverend Motors. And just right there, I'm like, wait, Reverend Motors? That sounds kind of cool. And he's like, hey, look, we do some oil. Don't know if you've heard of us. And so that's all. I read about that much, and then I clicked on the link. And you go over there. It's reverendmotors.com. And here's where I was hooked. And I have Kolton and Kory on the line, but this is the first time they're hearing this because I just wanted to be totally authentic and just say how this went down. So I go to the website and I click on oil. These guys do oil. And so I go over, I click on oil on reverendmotors.com, and here's what I see. First product is Holy Smoke Freedom Roast coffee scented synthetic 2-stroke oil. And I'm like, wait, it's a product called Holy Smoke 2-stroke. And I don't know what more I needed to hear. That's all. I didn't need to hear any more. So let me just bring in Kolton and Kory. I've got these gentlemen on the line. I want to go through some of these other products, but before I do that, I want to say, how did you guys come up with Holy Smoke 2-stroke oil?
Go ahead, Kory. So
it's Kolton and Kory Freck, just so you guys know. So Kolton and Kory, super cool dudes. We've known each other for about 6 minutes now.
We go
thank
way
you for
back,
having
Kyle.
us on, Kyle.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. Yeah, we actually we got inspired a long time ago. We obviously grew up racing 2-strokes, and the caster smell, and the kind of the nostalgia that everyone talks about of racing 2-strokes. And then as we there's not much of 2-stroke racing on the pro circuits, so we just wanted to be different. And some of the stuff that we were that kind of influenced it was one, we grew up in the church, and that's kind of where the story kind of starts, basically. But Holy Smoke 2-stroke was just like a play on words with it, and Reverend Motors kind of being the guide to the spirit guide for your bike. It was kind of with the name, so we just had fun with it. We're just having fun with the names. But what we really did was, everyone that we talked to, we were like, yeah, that everyone you talk to for 2-strokes is that caster smell, remembers the Bell Rays and the 927s and all that stuff, which are still around, great oils. But we wanted to make something that was different, and wanted to make something that was not gonna dunk up the power valve as bad or do any of that stuff that is kind of typical when you run casters, caster based oils. So we wanted to just have a full synthetic oil that just smelled good coming out of your tailpipe. And that's anytime you walk into a Starbucks or a Note, we both are coffee fanatics, so it kind of just works out. It was just fun.
Man, there are so many things that I want to dive into on that as well, and we'll get to it. But I just wanted to continue the hook that I had, because the first, I'm like, Holy Smoke 2-stroke. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I see the play on words there. There's the, Reverend and religion, and then Holy Smoke. And I was like, wow. And then the next oil is Godspeed 10W40. So you're talking high performance 4-stroke motor oil. And then you've got Steadfast, 1050. And then you've got prophetic synthetic 2-stroke injector oil. And at this point, I'm like, what is going on? And I'm clicking on the FAQ page. And at that point, I'm like, I need to get these guys, I need to have a conversation with these guys. And I was like, and how cool it would be if the first time we were talking, I just hit record on the podcast here, because there's got to be a story behind it. And you say you grew up in a church. tell me, like in a church and riding motorcycles, like, and your brothers, and you have this company. I mean, this is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Cole. No, I mean, it's just funny because we've always wanted to, it's a dream of ours we love this industry and we love this community so much. And it's really just an excuse to go do what we love and ride bikes and stuff. So, we grew up in the church and we kind of wanted to just have fun with the Catholic side of things too, because it's just so serious and so religious.
When you say in a church, like what you actually raised inside of a church building?
No, we grew up in the Christian church.
Okay.
So yeah. No, we were not born by the podium or anything like that.
Okay. But just making sure.
Yeah, we and then there's a third leg to this our trio. His name's Daniel, and we met him through Bible study, through like a men's group. And then we actually met our chemist now too through a men's group. So it was really just kind of like a divine encounter, and it was super organic. It was like, man, we would be stupid not to come up with some stuff for this. So it kind of was just a match made in heaven. Yeah.
Oh, that is so funny, because then if you dig deeper, like you've got some other products, like on the aerosol line, you've got Divine Drive Chain Lube, you've got Release Degreaser, and then one of my personal favorites is Thou Shalt Not Rust, which is a multi-purpose lube. And again, you turned like the play on words thing up to an 11 with this stuff. And then lastly, the last one that I got was the Born Again, like premium gloss spray or whatever, So, and this is the thing. It's like, oh, look, it's people talk about, oh, here's new bike in a can. And then you guys just said, oh, here's Born Again. So you spray this on your bike and it's Born Again. I'm a religious guy. I grew up, with religion was a pretty big part of my life. It has continued to be, even later into my life and, raising my family. And so I was just laughing. And there are some people, that are they take their religion so seriously that they don't want to, they're like, oh, this is, it might make them a little uncomfortable. To me, I was like, these guys are right up my alley. Like, you're just playing on words, Born Again, Holy Smoke 2-stroke, all this stuff. And I'm just like, this is awesome. Totally cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that we just like, you got to laugh at yourself once in a while, I think. And it was one of those, for us, it was just like, there's nothing, although we continue to be Christians, and, we still pray every night and all that stuff. And, we've been blessed to be in the position we're at. It was still fun just to, have those types of words just come out of like, different sects of the Bible or so, and just like kind of tweak them a bit. But I totally understand that, maybe some people would be upset by it, but, we're having fun. And I don't think it would be too frowned upon by the man upstairs.
No,
So.
I totally, I don't think anybody would be upset by it. But if you're twisted a little too tight, you might be like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
But I think it's fantastic, and I think a lot of times in religion and life and stuff, we take ourselves way too seriously. And this is about, like, I mean, if you're a God-fearing man like I am, I mean, he wants you to be happy, right? And this is just fun. This is fun, So if you're creating a cool product, trying to make a quality product, I say why not? And this sets you apart. I've never been interested in talking to any other oil company. I mean, there are several different places that I've bought oil from, several places, and there's these big, huge companies, and I won't even name drop. Like, we could name drop these companies. It doesn't matter to me. I've never wanted to get, I can't do it without name dropping, but I've never wanted to get any of these big oil companies or any representatives from any of the oil companies on here, because I'm like, it's probably just the same stuff. It's probably just, they're all probably made in, the similar refineries or whatever. And then you just slap this sticker on and that sticker on. But here are guys that are doing it different. These are moto guys, according to your FAQ page, unless you're lying to us all, but you're moto guys that just want to do something fun, want to do something cool for the community, want to offer a quality product, and want to do it made in USA here, which I think is resonating maybe more than ever. I mean, at least more than ever in my generation. I'm turning 40 this next month. I don't know how old you guys are, but I feel like right now this whole made in USA means more than at any point of my, the last 20 or 30 years. So maybe you guys can talk a little bit about that, about the made in USA stuff and how you guys handle that.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely, man. Go ahead, Kory. So for us, we've never been in the military or anything, but we've always dreamt of doing it, but just just this country for us has just been so giving, and we grew up here, and obviously we're not like, we didn't like, wasn't born in another country, but we just love the Americana and, old American films, and, like, for instance, the best old motocross movie of all time on any Sunday, right? Bruce Brown film. That kind of is just in our DNA of just how we wanted, our company to kind of look. And, me and Kolton, we drive Fords. Have American flags stamped on the back of our trucks and stuff. It sounds cheesy, but we're just really grateful and proud to be an American. And that's why we do everything we possibly can to make, everything here in the United States and local too. So we're not doing anything that's, too far away. Everything's local and, farm to table type of deal. Yeah. And I think, and to your point, Kyle, especially during 2020, probably the craziest year I've ever lived through. I don't know about you, but, I think that American made in the USA slogan is so important. What we saw in 2020 of the vulnerability and just kind of the supply chain that we saw in 2020 kind of crumble a little bit. And so we make everything to our tins, to our labels, to the most important part, our oil, right here in the States.
That's so cool. I feel like, man, we're gonna have to meet up sometime, because so many of the things that you've said in the last few minutes have really resonated with me, and I feel like I can connect to on like a level that is different than usual conversations that I have. Like what you said is, hey, look, we didn't serve in the military, but we kind of always wanted to. I was just having that conversation with my sons last night and kind of saying, hey, I think this is something you guys should think about. They're 10 and 12, yeah. And I'm like, hey, it's not a super regret, but I've always felt like I probably should have. Yeah. I talked to several recruiters when I was in high school. I took the ASVAB military aptitude test when I was in high school, and suddenly I had recruiters from every branch of the military like come and pulling me out of class, knocking on my door when I was shooting my bow and all this stuff, and coming to my house, and I thought I was going to do it. All I wanted to be was a fighter pilot, and long story short, that didn't happen. But I've always kind of felt like I probably should have done something like that, and it isn't because. And sometimes these people have said, well, is it because you want like the military discount at restaurants? I'm like, no. I would never say that. I would never be like, oh, can I get your 5% off at Home Depot because I'm a vet? Yes. That's not why. I just kind of wish I would have served, and so I'm trying to find other ways to serve. I'm trying to find other ways to strengthen our country. And even if it's just, to hold my head up high and try to make people feel good about themselves and make people want to better themselves, I want our country to be strong. And it's just like you said, with supply chains being disrupted and things, I sell some different things. It's hard / impossible, depending on what you want to sell, to get it made here in the U.S.
Oh, 100%, man. You hit the nail on the head.
Some of these things, you just can't get it, And if you could get it made, it would come at a cost that no one right now is programmed ready to pay.
Absolutely. By trade, Kyle, I'm a electrician, so that's what I do full time for work. To provide. I'll be 30 next month, but there, you touched on something there. It's like there's other ways to serve your country, and for us, it was kind of like boom, small business that helps grow an economy, and the entrepreneurial kind of mindset is what we really love about this country. That if you're willing to bust your butt, you're able to, create a life that, a lot of other countries wouldn't allow you to. So that's for us is like huge, and why we, you know, like you were touching on, we wanted to, you know, be in the military, or at least I did, and but it wasn't, you know, where I was being led, and you know, I think doing this with my brother and kind of having that kind of, you know, us grinding on this venture right now is, you know, it's just cool serving something bigger than yourself. I think, and that's for us. That's what it's always kind of been in, you know, between me, Daniel, and Kolton. Just this company, this little company we have right now is just it hopefully grows to serve others, not just ourselves, our self-loathing, if you will.
Yeah. No, I can relate to that. In fact, I'm holding an invoice in my hand right now for some of the products that I'm gearing up to start selling here pretty soon when I start a sweepstakes. And I'm looking at this invoice. You can hear it right here. This invoice is more money. It's more. I used to have this product made, I don't know, maybe in China. And I'm not saying all my products yet are USA made, because I'm getting products from Thailand, China, whatever. I'm trying to get stuff made in the US, and this invoice I'm holding in my hands, it's more money. It's more money to have me make this stuff here, and I'm looking for opportunities, and that's where I see it on your page, and it's one of your FAQs. You know, you say, where are they made? You say, right here in the US of A. We're proud to make our oils, bottle stickers, right here in Southern California, and that means something to me. I'm not one of those guys that is going to lecture anyone about, you know, only buy from USA, whatever, because, hey, everything helps. Like, even if I'm selling something that was originally designated, you know, we're having a phone conversation on a device that was made in China. You know what I mean? Like, there are certain things that you just can't get around. But then there's all these middlemen. Like, I'm a small business owner. I bought these products from a small business owner. There's like all these people on the supply chain. And I think it's good for us to be working on that as a country. We can't do it overnight, you know, but we can do it, and we can bring some of this stuff back, and that strengthens us. It strengthens us as a country, as an economy, you know, in a similar way to it would have if you and I had been deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan for the last 10 years or something. You know?
Yeah, dude, you're spot on, man. Like, I think, that's what I was going to say. You got to start small. You got to start somewhere. You're not going to change it overnight. And I think this is something, obviously you can hear the passion in all of our voices about it, but you know, I think we're on the same page. Like, we're not going to lecture, but it's out there, and we want to make it known that this is kind of where we stand.
Yeah. And it's cool too, because I was looking at, I'm just clicking on your website. If you guys are on your phones at home or whatever, if you're sitting on the couch, pull it up. It's reverendmotors.com. Follow along with me. So you can click on oil, and let's just say, hey, look, this is something that I stock in my my cabinet all the time, for, you know, your 10W40 or 10W50, $32.99 for 64 ounces. And I'm going, okay, that's great. Like, I'm not even paying more here. So a lot of times you think, okay, boutique company, small time or whatever. I'm not calling you guys small time, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not like a multi-billion, at least I don't think I'm talking to a multi-billion dollar corporation here. But yet you're offering what I'm assuming, based off these standards and these ratings, and I want to get into that, you're offering a product that is high quality, but I'm not paying 50, 60, 70% more. So how have you worked that part out?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. When we first came to market, we actually were doing plastic bottles, and the Holy Smoke is still plastic, but that'll be changing into the tin pretty soon. But we take the hit on our side, so we want to make sure that we continue to give the community a price competitive product. So we take the hit on our side, and we're totally okay with that. You know, it's one of those things that we feel so strongly about that. You know, we're willing to take that on, and also we have some stuff in the future that we would like to do to kind of make that even cheaper, believe it or not.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about like chemistry of this oil, and it sounds like you guys are not chemists, but you have you have a business partner who knows a lot about this stuff. So can we talk a little bit about the chemistry of your oil? Obviously, you're not going to talk about secrets, but can we talk about like formulations and standards like the API standards and the JASO stuff? I'm not super well versed in this stuff, but maybe you guys can give the listeners a Cliff Notes version of, hey, this is what we make, this is how we test it, this is good stuff, and here's how you know that it's it's quality.
Yeah, totally. So first things first, you have to go through those specs. So anyone that's a weekend warrior or everyday rider, they're going to look at their manual, right? And so the API, American Petroleum Institute, it has to go through certain specs. So for instance, the Godspeed 10W40, that's, API S, it's now SN. So if you go on the API, they have it all kind of broken down for you on the different tiers. So now our new stuff is at API SN plus, and all that means is it meets a certain criteria in the lab to qualify for that spec. And then the JSO is the Japanese standard. So you want both of those because they're obviously Japanese bikes, unless you're riding an Austrian bike. But they still go by API and JSO. So that's kind of a brief overview on that. And then we kind of say it's kind of like mac and cheese, where like the mac and cheese of oil, you take some ingredients and blend it together. We use all of our stuff full synthetic. So all that means is it's either a group 4 or a group 5 base oil. So you have your PAOs, which is a group 4. And excuse me if I'm talking a little too fast or getting ahead of myself.
It's great.
The group 4s is a PAO. And then a group 5 is actually not made from petroleum. It's actually a fat. So like an ester, or you'll see that on a lot of competitors, ester fortified. So we use both. And then we obviously add in some trade stuff for our additives. So it's actually, there's a whole chemical side of adding polymers and stuff like that, which polymers basically will, resist breakdown with heat, and they're super strong. You basically need that to make it a synthetic. Basically, if you have a 10, which is the 10, we're going to go down into some teaching here. But the 10 in the viscosity index is actually the W's for weather. So that's in cold testing. And then the other side of the spectrum, like a 40 or a 50, is what that tests at that degrees, at 100 degrees Celsius. So when you have a big index like that, a 10 to a 50, you need these polymers to make sure that they're not breaking down in cold and extreme temperatures. So we could go on and on about on the chemical side, but we really do want to make it simple. And Kory and I are trying to come out with some videos and stuff, some infotainment to kind of explain how that works, what you're putting into your bike, and what does this and what does that.
Well, I think that was fantastic. And you can tell that you guys are doing the homework. I'm gonna, in full disclosure, everyone listening to this, I have not purchased any of this stuff, but I'm going to. And I think just on like I know you've got some stuff for commercial applications, but you've got 4 main things that you show just on oil, which is your 2-stroke premix oil. Then you've got 1040 and 1050. And then you've got an injector safe, it looks like an injector safe 2-stroke oil. You're covering the bases right there. I mean, those 4 oils, that's all I need. I mean, every once in a while, I guess I might carry like a 75 weight gear oil, but more often than not, I'm just running either 1040 or 1050 in my bikes, if it's a 4-stroke, that's going in the motor. If it's a 2-stroke, I'm doing the 10W40 or 10W50 in my transmission. I'm not even really using gear lube anymore. And so of the 4 oils that you've got right there, that covers everything I'm doing with dirt bikes, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. If I can ask, what are you riding, Kyle? Are you cause you guys are running all KTMs over there, huh?
No, I always have a mix of things. I've got KTMs. I've got a Kawasaki, Honda. We've got a Yamaha. I've got a lot of crap. I mean, I've got right now, of the motorcycles that I have, I've got Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, KTM, Gas, Sherco. What have I missed?
Wow.
And some of those are kids' bikes, some of those are trials bikes, but I typically have anywhere between, I usually have 6 or 7 different brands. So I've got several KTMs, but in my possession right now, Kawasaki, Yamaha, KTM, Gas, Sherco. So it's all in here, and I don't need any other oils than what you're showing here. I do love that you have the injector safe 2-stroke oil, because that's something that I get a lot of questions about. And in my KTM TPI 2-stroke bikes, I've just been running the Motor X Cross Power stuff. I said I wasn't going to name drop, but then I just did. Here, it just slipped out. What is necessary to, or what is maybe different at a high level between, say, just a 2-stroke premix oil like your Holy Smoke 2-stroke and then your prophetic injector safe stuff? Like, what is the difference, and what makes it like, oh, this is injector oil and this one isn't? If we can talk about that for just a second.
Yeah, we just came out with that one end of March, actually. So Kory and I, we kind of got into the enduro scene, I'd say almost, 2 years ago, Kory?
Yeah.
And so we really wanted to just come out. We want to come out with stuff that is, and I'm not going to name drop either, but you go through some of these catalogs and you're like, what the heck do I choose? Like, there's a lot to choose from. And we want to make it very basic, almost like just in and out style. I don't know if you ever had in and out, but just you get your number 1, your number 2, your number 3, and you know what you're getting. So we just came out with that. It's completely safe for TPI, the Euro bikes, and then any form of injection for 2-stroke. And really all that comes down to is the viscosity index. So it's more refined. We use what's known as like a white oil in the industry. And then it really just comes down to that. You don't want to use premix in your injector because of viscosity. It's not gonna pass through those injectors as well.
So the premix oil is typically going to be a thicker viscosity because they know it's going to be diluted down in fuel, whereas in your injector oil, it comes out a lot thinner because it's just going to be squirted through an injector, so they don't want it to be thick.
Exactly. It doesn't have to blend with the fuel. So if you're using, we don't have anything for like nitro or anything like that. We just do gasoline right now. But yeah, you're exactly right. The premix has to mix in with the gas, obviously, and then the injector will typically separate. It won't really blend with the gas as well.
Yeah, I know that makes sense. That makes sense. I love it.
But we were thinking of making a 2-in-1. There's ways to make that, but we kind of just wanted to make it very cookie cutter. You know what you're buying. You don't have to really second guess if I should be doing premix or injectors, because some people bypass that injector system and you kind of start messing with stuff. I don't know if you've ever run into those kind of guys or if you've done that yourself.
Yeah, I haven't done it myself, but I bump into those guys in email and stuff weekly.
Right. Yeah. And it was another thing too, because we in southern, we often go to the river, to Colorado River and go like boating and stuff, and the outboard systems, a lot of them will still be running like the older Black Max, Mercury Black Maxes will still have injection on it, but a lot of guys will take that off and just run straight premix, just in case if one of the injection is there's an injection issue and no oil gets the motor. So that's it's one of those things too for us, where we were like wanting to do the 2-in-1, but then we're like Kolton said, it was like a group decision between me, Daniel, and Kolton to, let's just make an injection oil. And, not to name drop too, but those, good buddies of ours over at Wolf Enduro, they've been running it too. And we've had, pretty great results from what they've said, increase in power and, having, a better exhaust, I would say, less smoke and stuff that they've been running.
Yeah. No, I think it's the right call to just separate them out, because use cases and applications are different. the one scary thing that a lot of people have with, say, like a TPI bike, a KTM Husky gas or whatever, is just they use so little oil. I have been asking, I mean, I've been keeping track, and I've been asking a bunch of my buddies, and I have some data. This isn't scientific, but I have some data that says these TPI bikes are running, obviously it would depend on what your RPMs are and your throttle position is over the average aggregate. But here's what I'll say. They're the guys that I'm talking to, and in my case, it's only using about 1 liter of oil per 100 hours. It
is crazy, man.
It's very little. It's very little. And so it's going to be important that you're putting a high quality, probably synthetic oil in that bike, because it's using very little oil. And so you guys are totally confident your prophetic stuff will work fine in any of these Austrian TPI bikes?
Sorry, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. I didn't catch that part.
Oh, sorry. We're on conference call. I just said that these bikes are using so little oil that you got to be really careful. A lot of guys, including myself, are like careful about what oil you're putting in there, because it's only going to use 1 liter ish in 100 hours. So you got to be putting some high quality oil in there, because not a lot is actually getting in.
Yes, they're going through the transport port. So it's basically it's going into the bottom of the crank, and then it's got to go throughout the whole. So you want something that it's almost like it just grabs onto the walls and grabs onto the crank.
Yeah, and I know enough oil gets in there, because we've pulled the top ends off, and there's plenty of oil covering. So I think as long as you're putting in a high quality oil, enough is getting in there. I'm not the dude that is pre-mixing. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm not pre-mixing these TPI bikes. I'm just letting it run the way they run. And, I've got, between me and my just close circle of riding buddies, we've got somewhere around 2,000 motor hours on TPIs. Have not had a single issue yet. So nice. That's pretty cool. I need to try this stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of the time too, like we have some customers that come back to us and say, it was just recently we had some customers say, I felt some fouling when I was giving it gas, and like I don't want to blame it on your guys' oil, yada yada yada, and it wasn't, and it's a simple thing too. I think an education standpoint needs to happen. Kyle, this, but anytime you're messing with elevation, and different jetting systems and stuff. Not, I'm talking about the pre-mix stuff aside now. That's where you'll have like different lags and throttles and stuff like that. But what's crazy, is there's a lot of misconceptions. I believe that a lot of people have with oils. And we're not, believe me and Kolton and Daniel, we're not trying to, if you like what you're running, run that. But we're here, and we're not going to go anywhere, in the sense of we just want to support the community of riders that we ourselves are in. But there's a lot of like misconceptions when it comes to oil. Totally. And I think there's a lot of pointing fingers at certain oils and stuff, where it's like no one's pointing fingers at like elevation levels or your jetting situation or your gasoline, for that matter. Some guy who fills up, say, if you, for instance, we were in Arizona, flash flood comes through. Well, we picked up gas from Arco. Luckily we put it inside the tanks first, but one of their systems had a bunch of dirt inside of the actual gas, and it was like almost like a rust colored look. Uh-huh. So there's like a lot of things too, like, that we, me and Kolton and Daniel want to work on too, for like what Kolton was saying, like an infotainment thing, because after all, we would love to sell you oil and, support whatever, either racing or just going out with your buddies and riding. But at the same time, we just want to bring that misconception home, and kind of enlighten people at the same time while we're, making this high quality oil. Or support, and I think support guys like you, Kyle. I think what you do for the community is so rad. I just listened to that whole podcast that you touched on. of what we're talking about right now. I think that stuff, and I love how you preface it. You're like, I'm not an expert and all that stuff, but you bring that experience and that value that you've had over the last, however many years you've been wrenching on bikes. And so even if it's supporting guys like you and guys that just want to bring more information to the community.
Yeah. When you say there's all this misinformation out there, if I could go back in time and redo this little dirt bike channel thing that I've done, there are a couple videos I probably wouldn't have made, because there's been so much like controversy or vitriol about it. And one of them has to do with pre-mixing oil. And I still stand by what I said in those videos. But there are some people that are just, I don't know what the right word is to use, that, because I don't want to put people down, but there are just some people who are so unbelievably sure about their position.
Oh yeah.
And if if you don't agree with their position, then you are a scumbag. Like, put that guy in your mind. I met hundreds of those people, like, with some of these videos. And I still to this day get emails of like, hey, I know you do this all the time, or whatever. Like, I know you run X oil all the time in everything and you never use anything else. And I'm just like, man, where did you get that idea? Like, I do all kinds of things. 90% of the stuff I do or try never makes it to a YouTube video, never makes it to a podcast, certainly never makes it to Facebook or Instagram. Like 90% of everything I do. So you're going to base one video that you saw 5 years ago where I talked for 5 minutes. You're going to take it totally out of context and then like hammer me for it, and subscribe to my channel with the solely intention of just trolling me for 5 years because of oil, because you didn't agree with what I said about a certain oil or a certain premix. And there was, maybe you listen to it. There was a podcast I did semi recently where I'm just talking about jetting and 2-stroke oil and premix and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not trying to like push anyone's oil. I'm just saying, hey, look, here's some things that I've noticed in my jetting. Here's some things I noticed in my premix. Here's some misconceptions that I see, because unlike you, I get emails from people every day of the week. And these are questions that people ask. There are some recurring themes here, Yeah. Number one theme is, hey, what bike should I buy? Another theme is like, they say these things about jetting and premix that I'm just like, whoa, you've got 180 degrees off, buddy. So I see it over and over and over, and I'm like, yeah, there is a lot of so it would be really cool if you guys could come up with some clever infotainment. I love the way you put that, some ways to kind of A, get your name out there, and B, entertain people. And if you can slip it in that you're educating them also, that's something that I'm kind of trying to tinker around with sometimes is, hey, think of a thing. Like, for instance, here, let me give you an example. So I wanted to highlight the fact that my Kawasaki KX250X only has 5 speeds, and I think it's dumb. I think it should have had 6 speeds. And then this other idea came to me of like, hey, my son's 85. We went on a ride. And I'm like, I think this 85 might be faster top speed. I legitimately thought it was faster, only because Kawasaki forgot to put an extra gear in there. Everyone else, Yamaha, Honda didn't do it either. Right. But all these other manufacturers figured out, well, if this isn't a motocross bike, we should put 6 speeds in it. But Kawasaki was lazy. They didn't. So then I'm like, wait a second. This bike might actually be slower top speed than my son's 85. And so I go out, I do this video where I'm like, hey, here's a drag race. The underlying theme to that video, which some people get and some people didn't, is it's not really as my 250 4-stroke faster or slower than my son's bike. The underlying theme of that is Kawasaki put 5 speeds in that when they should have put 6. And I think it went over a lot of people's heads. So what I'm saying is that's an example of something that I'm going to try to do more of. If you guys had a way to do that where you had, somebody, there's a company that advertises on YouTube. It's like Man Soap. I don't know what it is, but like they have these commercials that come on in YouTube videos.
Dr. Squatch.
Yeah. That. So yes. Any other any other ads that I get, I'm counting down until it says I can click through it to go off of it.
I'm the same way.
But those guys, I don't click off of it because it's entertainment. Yeah. It's entertainment. And so and that's tough to do. Like what they're doing is hard to replicate. They did the same thing back years ago in a company called Dollar Shave Club. Did you guys ever see that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to bring that up. Yeah.
So that company, I don't even know how much they're worth now, but that one YouTube video they made, I mean, holy crap. Wow. I still get Dollar Shave Club every other month because the way that video made me feel like 10 years ago, I'm like, they got me. You know, so if you guys, now I'm no pressure because I'm setting the bar kind of high. I've just given. I'm like, hey, what you guys should do is this. But if you had a way to do that, to figure out a skit, a laugh, a whatever that got your brand out there, entertained people, and then also like slipped in this little bit of wisdom, like, hey, this is something that you should know about oil. I mean, that could be really cool, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You're hitting the nail on the head, man. That's what we want to do. It's like you said, it's a dance. It's a hard thing it's definitely a dance.
Yeah. And we often like try to push the threshold of like, you know, of more of a community based, like word of mouth type of marketing, if you will. Just for the reasons of like what we were like, you know, at least for me in my heart, like I've always been fascinated by the movie On Any Sunday because it was so cool that you could, you know, that scene where Steve McQueen is racing with the pig farmer from Marietta. And, you know, it didn't matter who, you know, if it was a pro or a movie star, they were all racing together and it would all, you know, get off the track or the course or whatever and have a beer and just talk about the race or something, which I think is so cool and where the sport is lacking in a lot of ways, where it's bringing kind of new blood or, you know, different people from different sides of the fence, you know, I think, you know, during this whole pandemic too, what was cool is seeing the amount of people trying to get on bikes now or being able to, you know, go out more and really like re-flash their love for riding motorcycles. I think it's been super cool to watch that kind of, and it's been subtle, but I agree with you. Like there's the education part, but at the same time, the Dollar Shave Club, like comedy skit or, you know, just a like cool bike build or whatever is definitely on the radar for us. We have so many ideas, so many different visions of where we think we can grow and where we think we can take the sport to, or just being a really cool brand or having a really cool oil. There's so many things that me and Kolton and Daniel just talk about and dream about and, you know, write it on a board and then, you know, put it in priority of what exactly, how we have to hit those, what we have to do to hit those bullet points and stuff. So it's definitely is in our wheelhouse, but like, you know, there's three of us and we're just grinding anywhere we can. And we can't thank people enough like yourself who allow us to tell this story and kind of, you know, really the takeaway I think is anyone, you know, if you love something so much, you should probably try to see if you can, you know, make a living out of it or just, you know, just do it because you love it type of deal. So that's, you know, full circle. That's kind of what we want to try to embed into, you know, our customers or even just the community itself.
No, that's great. I love that. And I feel like there's a bunch of people, I don't know what it is about the dirt bike community, and I don't want to paint with too broad of a brush here, but what I'm going to say is complimentary. And so maybe I do want to paint with a broad brush. We're a little bit different breed of people. We're a little bit different class of people. You know, obviously we have the rednecks who I've been a redneck in my life. You know, we have the rednecks. We also have the CEOs in our field here. I get to interact with so many cool people. And it's probably the best part of this little gig. Like what I'm doing is a grind. It's a lot of work. It's the hardest work I've ever done. But I get to meet some really cool people like you guys, Kolton and Kory. And I meet people from all walks of life, but there's some sort of there's a little bit more motivation almost, it feels like, in the dirt bike community where people want to do something. There's not a lot of people that are just sitting on the couch. Like you meet people who are activators, who are go-getters, who, are leaders in essence. Yeah. There's so many of those people in this sport, in our little sport. And I don't think we're tapping into that enough. Here I am 100%. Talking to two brothers from Southern California who are trying to make the world a better place. And, here's this thing. Here's oil. We're going to make these oils. We're going to do this. We're going to make it super fun. We're going to make a cool company and have a cool brand. And we're going to play on words with like religion and stuff. And I'm just like, this is awesome. We need more of this. I want to help grow the industry. I want to help other small businesses. And there's so many like-minded people in our sport. It feels different. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if I was super into basketball or something, maybe I'd get plugged into all these basketball dudes and I'd feel the same way. Maybe. But I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Because I was in golf. I was into golf, and I had a lot of.
Now you're speaking Kolton's language.
A lot of buddies, and golf is cool. And I, I don't have time for it now, but the point, I just never really, it was the golfer dudes. Now I don't want to like offend anyone, but I'm just saying it feels like the dirt bikers on the whole are like, hey, we're ready to build something. I'm ready to go, build a company, build my community, make this trail, these types of things. We're going to build a track. We're going to set up this foundation or whatever. Whereas my golfing buddies, they're cool, but they weren't really doing that. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching too much.
You're spot on, man. Like Kory and I were at Glen Helen, 2 weeks ago for the two-stroke nationals, and this guy came up to our booth and he was kind of asking about us. And then we asked him about what he was doing, and he's wearing a shirt. And he goes, I've had this idea for 15, 20 years, and I finally decided just to go for it. I'm like, dude, bitchin', like, yes, you should. Like, I do think in the moto community, there's that passion is a lot stronger. And I think people, we share the same passion and goal, Kyle, of growing the industry. And I think it has grown. To Kory's point, I think over this last year, I've seen more people on bikes than ever. And I love seeing that. Like, it's so bitchin'. But to your point, I think, people, there are more go-getters and hard workers in this industry.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I've kept you guys long enough. You guys need to get back and make some oil. Like, what did we miss? What are the best ways for people to get in touch with you guys? I mean, I said reverendmotors.com. That's the website. How else do people get in touch with you guys? What's the best way?
Yeah, you can hit us up on our Instagram. If you have a message, like if you have any type of question or anything, you can message us on Instagram. Just simply Reverend Motors. It's me or Kolton who are, answering the question. We don't have like some marketing group that's doing any of that stuff. So it's either me or Kolton that's going to, answer back to you. Basically our Instagram, and our website, our email, contact at reverendmotors.com. It's two best ways to get a hold of us. We're working on our other, media points, but for there, you can just hit us up. And like I said, any questions you guys have, or anyone has, we're happy to answer or just talk to you and hang out.
So the email was contact@reverendmotors.com. Is that right?
Correct.
Cool. And then Instagram is a great way to do it. So they can send you a DM on Instagram.
Yeah, if you got any oil questions or anything, hit us up on Instagram, and we're pretty quick to get back to you. So
cool. Well, I will be placing my first order here relatively soon. I just bought a bunch of oil, but I'm going to get some of your stuff, give that a try. I'm going to try this coffee.
Some stuff, man.
I'm going to try this coffee roast because in my kids' bikes, I'm always following them. We go on a ride, and I'm following those guys, and so I'm going to put that in their tanks and see if I can smell that, and that'll just be something.
Some days you might be feeling coffee, some days faster. You never, switch it up.
Yeah, no, that's so funny.
Yeah, and I highly recommend throw a little VP in there. You get the best Colombian roast you've ever smelled.
Which one? T4? Which VP do you have to put in? Because they got like 90 formulations.
We just run T10 in ours.
Okay. There's I can't afford that stuff. I'm working on a freaking
There's a lot out there, man.
I'm working on a YouTuber salary. I can't afford to run race gas in my kids' bikes. Come on, man.
Yeah,
my bad.
It's funny. The moto community just like dumps their money into their machines. It's awesome. Like some of the guys at the races, like they're like we're putting like Arco 87 in their $30,000 truck, but they're putting like $80 5 gallons in their dirt bike.
Oh my God. Well, what's funny is I had a guy email me just the other day, and he's like, he's just been saving all his money to go, buy this dirt bike. And he's like, hey, is it okay if I just put like 85 octane in my bike? Cause I just don't want it to be too expensive. And I'm just like, hey, brother, this whole sport is expensive. And I suggest that you spend the extra 20 cents per gallon to get the premium octane, whatever that is in your area. In my area, it's 91. You guys are down, you're closer to sea level, so you're probably getting 94 octane. But I'm like, hey, look, just spend the extra 20 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to make that sacrifice, and at least put I'm mostly a premium pump gas guy. I've run some race fuels and stuff, but it's just so expensive. So
we it's hit or miss for us. We're going on a trail or something. We're gonna do pump, but we just, with that racing background, we kind of just, and we put some different heads and stuff on too. So we need that higher compression. Kind of needs it sometimes. So
yeah. I'm just a newbie, so I don't need high. In fact, I put high compression heads on my bikes. I can't even ride the freaking things. It's too much power. The way I look at it is, I'm like, sorry, I was gonna let you guys go, but the way I look at it is like, if my bike, and I'm sure, okay, so I'm using about 20-30% of its capability. So if I put some extra hop ups on this thing, now I've made the bike 2% better. So now I'm only using 28% of its capability. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I just made the bike has 70% that I'm leaving on the table. And then I do this $1,000 part, and now I'm leaving 72% on the table. I'm not getting any more out of it. So that's usually that's where my brain goes. I suck. You ride with people who are better than you, and it doesn't matter what bike they're on. Like, you ride with somebody who's like way better than you. They can be on some TTR 230, which is happening to be better. Yeah. So anyway, they're always going to be better. So, okay. Well, I think this has been super fun. Thanks for taking the time. I'm going to place an order. And it would be fun to meet up with you guys at some point and just shake hands. I would have come down to Supercross races, but you guys won't have them in California anymore. So
we'll call our governor. We'll keep you into it.
Yeah,
very good.
He probably won't, but
oh, hopefully we.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. This has been really fun too for us. We enjoy just chatting and getting to know you, man, as well. It's super cool.
Okay, very good. Well, let's keep in touch, and I'll cut you guys loose. Thanks so much.
All right, Kyle.
Right. Have a good day. Bye.
All right, thank you.
So there you have it. That's Kolton and Kory Freck, Reverend Motors. How cool is that? Like, that is legit. That's fun. And I feel like, I have no idea what these guys look like. We've never spoken before now. Normally I do like a lot of times I'll do like a warm-up call where I will call somebody, talk to them for a half hour or something, and then we come up with like some bullet points to go through, and then we'd have the call the next day or 2 days later. I did not do that with Kolton and Kory. I just said, hey, you want to do a podcast? And they're like, sure. I set up a Zoom call. The Zoom thing, it wasn't kind of working, so I just called them. I'm like, hey, let me call you. You conference in your brother, and we just went. And I just hit record, and we went for it, and that was pretty dang cool. So, legit, I'm gonna buy some oil from them. ReverendMotors.com. I think it's cool. The 4 oils that they have are all I need. Holy Smoke 2-stroke for the premix. They got the 1040. They got the 1050, and then they've got the prophetic stuff, which is for injectors. So I've only run the Motorex Cross Power 2T in my TPI bikes. I'm going to throw some of this stuff in there and just see. And I legit am going to get some of their freedom scented coffee roast for my kids' bikes and just have a laugh and go behind them and see if I can smell it, Anyway, so that's what I got going on. I don't have any sort of promo codes with those guys. It was just first call. So this is like totally organic. If I get this stuff and love it, then maybe I'll try to get some sort of a promo code or something. I don't know. This is just how I'm rolling. This is the second podcast I've recorded today. I did a podcast earlier today, so I'm going to schedule this one to come out in a day or two. But thank you so much to Reverend Motors for doing that podcast. That was super fun. I want to do more of that stuff. I just have to make it a priority. So yeah, if you want to support Dirt Bike Channel, hey, one of the best ways you can do it is to go to my website, dirtbikechannel.com. Go over there. You can click on my links for Rocky Mountain ATV. I also have some links for Amazon and Motorsport. That really, really helps. You click on those links before you do your shopping, and I get a referral bonus for sending you guys there. I buy almost everything from Rocky Mountain ATV. The only reason I don't buy it from them is if they don't have it, and most of the time they have it. Most of the things I want, they have. They don't have Reverend Motors oil, so at least I don't think they do. So I'll buy this oil directly from ReverendMotors.com. But couple cool guys. Sounds like we're have a lot in common, and be fun to meet them in person someday. So that's what I have for everyone today. If you have questions, you can reach out to me, Kyle@dirtbikechannel.com. If you have podcast suggestions, Kyle@dirtbikechannel.com. Hey, if you're a small business owner and you've got a cool product, people email me all the time. I'm not promising that I want to use your product, but I'd like to see it. I'd like to see what you're making. I've got some really cool companies that I've worked with in the past. Step Ramp, awesome company. If you want to buy a best ramp you've ever seen, Step Ramp, use my promo code. It's on my video. Email me. I've got a promo code that'll at least it'll help give me some credit back. It won't save you a ton of money. Other ones like Easy Chocks, the best way to put your bike in a trailer and get it, in there securely with E-Track, Easy Chocks. Those guys, I do have a promo code for them for you to save some money on that one. So anyway, cool stuff. Really cool company. I need to get some other work done. Man, when you're a small business owner, it's just me. So I've got a bunch of stuff I got to do before the sweepstakes. If you're listening to this, anytime I start a sweepstakes here on April 30th of 2021. It'll go through June 30th of 2021. You can enter to win one of my 3 motorcycles that I'm giving away. All the details will be over on dirtbikechannel.com, my website, during that time. 60-day promotion or whatever that is. I mean, it might be 61. I haven't counted them. It's 60, 61 days, somewhere in there, 2-month promotion. You can enter to win 3 different motorcycles, so it should be pretty cool. Okay, that's what I have for you guys today, you guys and gals and whoever you are. Yeah, cool stuff. Leave a single track. Thanks, everybody.